Fun fact number 59. Well, the thumbnail for this channel is, and so I thought somebody said they wanted me to start reading this in an installment, so I'm going to do it. I will read two chapters. And this is part 1. This is chapter 1. It's called To the Moon. Far away, the earth had been chewed up and spit out and put back together. The humans were of one mind again. They reached for the stars. Don't be afraid when they come. They may be simple, but they do try hard. And they do have love, but they also have hate. Let me tell you from the beginning about the moon that surrounds their planet and the men and the women that began the reach for the stars. I'll create scenes and use their words so you can hear them and know them. Let me tell you about the ones that started it all and their story, so when you meet them, you will know them. Let me take you to the moon and start in the middle of a conversation the men are having about living on the moon. You must know how they feel and what they have been through to get to this point. They will tell you now. This abysmal space station should have never been built. Come on, Greco. It is a real advancement. Would you rather have the civil disturbances have continued? No, of course not. But Manuel, they weren't happening where I lived. Were you part of all that 10 years ago? I mean, are you old enough to remember? And is this living in this space station? Is it any better than 5 years ago in South America, or rather South Continent? Is this any better? Well, if Manuel won't tell you, I will. Africa or West Continent was hell. You were too young to remember, Greco, but it was unspeakable. The only reason why Manuel doesn't want to talk about it is because he lost his whole family and was tortured at the age of 10. It's strange to me, Manny. It's strange to think that people would stand up and fight against progress. Little ones, progress did not cause the civil disturbances. Humans in many countries on Earth for many years had resisted government mandates that were considered progressive by some and archaic and damaging by others. A country called the United States and another called Russia were doing what many had only dreamed of. They trashed their nuclear weapons, stopped considering profit above the planet or human care, slowed down, and in a sense were going back in time, just when many countries were beginning to catch up with their way of life. The new philosophy or approach to life had started in the East, in countries called Japan and China. The center of the wave came from a place called Tibet. The idea spread to the United States and Russia. A few other countries followed the lead, or what became known as the Tibet idea. The rest of the world governments were angry since they were just beginning to catch up to the lifestyle of waste. They became even more adamant in their shallow goals and pressed the people even harder to exploit the earth and each other. Much of the earth's populace agreed with the Tibet idea. The civil wars broke out across the planet. Many people died. An atomic bomb was exploded in a country called Africa, destroying most of the remaining rainforest there and drying parts of a great river called the Nile. The blast was so strong that parts of the earth fell into the oceans. Tidal waves and major earthquakes were felt all over the earth, and a new island approximately the size of another island called Australia sprung up in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. but many humans believe that was also due in part to the hydrogen bomb that missed the rest of the rainforest in a place called South America and landed in the Atlantic Ocean, causing beaches around the world to be littered with dead fish. Such civil disturbances took place for 8 years, obliterating entire families. Entire cultures were lost. The survivors were stunned. Japan and Russia recovered best and helped others recover from the devastation and the shock. Russia thought of the Earth Council. The head of the council was an old Native American believed to be of the Hopi tribe, who seemed to have always been on Earth. Running Tree was the head of the council. The Russian emissary who found him among the hills of North America described him best in the history book as a tall, dark man with long silver hair, sun-dried skin, deep-set sky-blue eyes, a cauliflower nose, huge brown lips that rarely moved, and large hands. He was a large man altogether with an immense, quiet soul. His face often wore an expression full of thoughtful sorrow. He rarely spoke, but when he did, his bass whisper seemed to float from the core of the earth and your own heart at the same time, then echo on the wind for days. His parents had named him well, Running Tree, an ancient tree with roots traveling deep in the earth and tall branches that spoke to the stars, but was made human by some magical deity to run amongst men and whisper deep truths. Running Tree was able to combine the best of the old world and the new world to the joy of the survivors. The space station was deemed necessary for the growth and care of the Earth, but the human stories and words will help you understand better than my words. Well, you still haven't answered my question, which was worse? The space station or the civil disturbances? Greco, it's like this. They are both rotten, but in different ways. The civil disturbances were hell at the time, but if something didn't happen, we would all be dead, and there would be no Earth and no station. We would not have made the advancements we needed to build a space station. But too bad we couldn't have done it all without the civil disturbances. Now the space station is great for a lot of reasons too, but for us it is a nightmare in too many ways. Because basically we are test subjects. We are mice, not men. We can't be men because we have no women. Then again, we can't be mice because all the mice we are testing are males too. Isn't it neat how they did that? The only thing female up here are some of the plants, especially the food crop. So what are you saying, Manny? Should we go sensual with our food? No, Greco, go one step further. Let's get sexual with our food. Funny, har har. I'm serious, Angelo. Tell Greco. He's serious. Some of the other guys want to watch the mice and do what they do. Did the mice get sexual with their food or each other? I guess you can tell what Manny prefers. Dang, man. Come on, I'd rather be celibate than choose either. I guess that is another option. We all knew what we were getting into. There are always many options. The bored scientists, alone and lonely on the space station, began creating crude male droids for a time. When they ran into snags, they would give up immediately. Their robots were in much better shape than the droids, and their light-speed mechanism was set after 2 years. Everything was going fairly according to plan. Every year the men would request women, and every year none were sent. The men grew apathetic about their work. They would start something and never finish. They spent most of their time playing baseball or watching space or throwing notes in bottles into the vast void before them, or rereading news from Earth. After 5 years, Celia was sent, for an all-purpose reason, to the 20 men residing in the space station on the other side of the Earth's moon. The request for female companionship was finally filled, but the council only sent one woman with supplies. She flew the last flight to the space station before Mission Z would arrive. She stayed as a gift and her own personal sacrifice. At first, the men didn't think she would be enough for them, but they soon found that they were wrong. After 5 years of exploring options, they found pure joy with Celia. She was a great astronaut, scientist, cook, explorer, lover, and friend. She was a curvaceous Latin from South Continent. She was half Brazilian South and half Sioux North. Before her solo flight to the moon station with 2 prototype robots from Earth and supplies for the man, she tried to learn the various languages she would encounter on the space station. Making love with a mechanically voice translator was not her style and was so impersonal. She was not only thoughtful, but beautiful. Her dark skin, dark eyes, long lashes, long dark brown hair, and her sinuous muscles were only topped by her bright and almost mocking smile, and the way she raised one eyebrow whenever she asked someone a rhetorical question. She was fiery yet cool. She knew her business and even helped in perfecting some portions of the droid. She got the men back to missions to be accomplished, and assisted and inspired when necessary. The men were so happy to have Celia on the moon, they had not bothered to ask why she had come. None had asked why or how a solitary woman came to be at the space station full of men. No one asked if she missed Earth. No one wondered how she could be so selfless and loving and wonderful. If they would have asked, she would have told them. She hid nothing from them if they asked. Since they could trust her so explicitly, they never fought over her, and they accepted their gift from the council. At first, they thought they might have to send her back because they were afraid that they might get violent over her. Celia soon dissuaded them from such talk and proved her worth beyond their imaginations. She had a sexual appetite that only 20 men could possibly satisfy. I think I'm going to leave, and that was chapter 1. I think I'm going to leave chapter 2 for next time. And that one is actually titled Celia's Story. So this is Fun Fact number 59, the first chapter of Children of Light. And I will continue with chapter 2, which is Celia's Story, probably in about a month. So ciao, Bellas. Hope you enjoyed that.